Hey folks, today's episode of WTF is sponsored exclusively by IFC. Comedy Bang Bang starts Friday, June 8th, but you can check out a full episode with guest Amy Poehler right now at IFC.com. Do it.
Lock the gate!
Are we doing this? Really? Wait for it. Are we doing this? Wait for it. How?
What the fuck?
WTF.
And it's also, what the fuck?
What's wrong with me? It's time for WTF.
What the fuck?
With Marc Maron.
Okay, let's do this. How are you, what the fuckers? What the fuck buddies? What the fuck nicks? What the fuck aristas? This is Marc Maron. This is WTF. This is a weird way to open. I don't know. It felt like my timing was off right there at the beginning. Right from the get-go, my timing was off. I don't know. I guess I'm a little preoccupied. It is Memorial Day. I'd like to send my thoughts, my love out there to people who are remembering people they lost in any number of great skirmishes and battles and wars, for better or for worse, that this country has been engaged in. So my thoughts are with you people. It's also a strange Memorial Day for me today. I'm sad, man. I'm sad today. I had a situation here at the house over the weekend, and it was difficult. You know, I had this stray cat, one of two or three, probably actually 3 or 4 that come around here to eat. And I don't mind feeding them. You know, I have my own feelings about feeding them, but I feed them. I don't like all of them. A couple of them are annoying. There's a deaf black cat out there that keeps giving my boomer a hard time, and there's nothing I can do about it. These are stray wild cats, and he's deaf, and it's weird, and he's black. But that's not a racial thing. It's just a bad luck thing or something. It's a black cat, and it's deaf. You know what? It's not the point. There was one out there I've been feeding for probably a couple of years now, black and white cat, a sort of medium long-haired cat. Had a black and white face, looked like it was wearing a mask, like a black mask over her, what I thought was her face for a long time. And, well, a week or so ago, this cat showed up. I hadn't seen it in a bit, but it showed up just nearly emaciated and not grooming itself and covered in dirt and what I later grew to realize was snot. And it's horrible. When you have a stray cat, this is a wild cat, you can't touch the cat, and it's ill. It's clearly ill. It's howling. It's only eating wet food. It's not eating dry food anymore. It's not moving much, and I couldn't get close to it, and it looked ill. So I had to I had Sam, my assistant, pick up a trap at a vet, and I trapped this black and white cat because I was going to bring it to the vet to get it fixed, to get it better, to make it okay. And I brought the cat in, and the cat got all its tests, and it turned out he thinks it had a very bad upper respiratory infection. Okay, they're going to give it some fluids, give it some antibiotics, clean up its face a bit. And then I told him to keep it overnight until the rest of the tests came in, and I went in the next day, and the cat's got FIV. And it was a difficult decision because the cat was clearly already getting ill. I can't touch the cat. But look, I'm the kind of guy, I'll like, all right, it's sick, but it could live a while. Let's just have him around a little while longer. Turned out it is a he, and he had been neutered at some point. Let's just have that cat around a little while. And I'll try to give it antibiotics, but I can't guarantee anything. I can't let it in the house. Doesn't want to hang out. There's no way for me to take care of that cat. I told that vet that. And he said, well, I mean, I think maybe the best thing to do is euthanize the cat. And I'm like, but I heard the cats with FIV, they live a long time. And he said, but I don't know. I don't know if this is the beginning, if it's ever going to get over this infection. It's pretty bad. And I'm like, I don't know. Yeah, it's not my cat, but I'm used to having that cat around. I've got a relationship with this cat. You know, it's a bit codependent. It annoys me a little. He's a little entitled, but you know, we've worked things out. Certainly, you know, I like having him around. He said, well, it's up to you. I don't know that you're going to be able to get this cat its medicine. And every time I would have had to bring the cat in, I would have, had to trap it all over again. If it stopped eating, it wouldn't even go in the trap. And then he said the thing that, made me really make the decision, which was that, when this cat does get sick, it's going to go somewhere alone and take about a week or more to die by itself. So I said, well, then I guess we better do what we got to do. We better euthanize this cat. So that happened, and it's a weird decision to make. I've actually, as long as I've been dealing with animals, have never made that decision. My mother usually made that decision when I was growing up. But it's done. And I feel bad. And I talked to my neighbor's wife, and when I was trying to figure out what to do, I asked my mother. I asked Dave Anthony from the Walk in the Room guys. Did counsel with my girlfriend. I asked my friends, what am I going to do? And Sharon from next door, she's like, well, I would not do it. But then again, that may not be the mature decision. And then after I did it, I told her what I did, and she goes, well, that was the mature decision. So sometimes you got to do things that, go against your heart, or that you might not be able to live with for a little while, because it was the right thing to do. I think it was the right thing to do. But I'm selfish in that I would have, part of me would have rather had the cat around for as long as it would have taken to have died. And then one day I would have wondered where the cat was, and then I would have thought, like, well, I wonder if that cat, is coming back around, and then there was a good chance that cat would just go off by itself and die a miserable, painful starvation and sickness death. That was inevitable. I don't know when it would have happened, but it was inevitable. I feel like I made the right decision right now. Talk to me in 5 minutes. But on a lighter note, I went to see The Avengers, and they did an amazing thing for the planet in that movie. I enjoyed that movie a lot. It was very engaging. I felt a lot of empathy with the Hulk, which you don't usually find. I could relate to the Hulk a little bit. Is that what you're supposed to come out of those movies with? But that movie took my mind off of for a little while. But ultimately, I'm still haunted, not by a superhero wearing an outfit or a mask, but by a little black and white cat that looks like he was wearing a mask. I'll get over it. Oh, but it didn't bum you out. We got a great show. We got Bo Burnham. Been wanting to talk to that guy. He's a young guy. We were on the green room together. And, I look, I am who I am. Yeah, I kind of condescended to him, but I'll tell you, we had a great conversation. He's a good kid, this kid. Smart kid, talented kid. Hope you enjoy the talk. Okay, people, Comedy Bang Bang starts Friday, June 8th at 10 p.m., 9 Central on IFC. You know the podcast. You know Scott Ackerman. He's been on our show before. You love that podcast, right? Almost as much as you love mine. Now you can check it out on TV as an absurd half-hour comedy show that only looks like a talk show. And right now, you can watch a full episode with Amy Poehler sitting on the couch with host Scott Ackerman. Watch it before the premiere. You can do that. Or go to the Comedy Bang Bang on IFC Facebook page and watch it there. It's Scott Ackerman and his band leader Reggie Watts, who's also been on this show, plus some of the biggest names in comedy like Zach Galifianakis, Seth Rogen, Paul Rudd, Weird Al Yankovic. Comedy Bang Bang. Comedy's so nice, they banged it twice. And don't forget to check out Bunk, airing at 10:30 on IFC following Comedy Bang Bang. Bunk is where comedians come to play. Kurt Braunohler is your host as improv comics play for non-charitable causes. They'll compete in categories like Whose Crotch is Hotter, Shame That Puppy, Give That Bitch Some Arms, and Unstamp the Tramp. That's Comedy Bang Bang and Bunk, premiering June 8th on IFC. But go to IFC.com now and watch full episodes. Go ahead. Go ahead. Bo Burnham.
Sweet.
The mighty Bo Burnham. I don't think we've ever really talked.
No, not a good talk. Well, not a talk, I don't even think.
No, we ran into each other at the taping of The Green Room.
Yeah, and then we had the taping, but that's not a talk.
Right, and you took a couple shots at me. That was all right. No,
Well,
it was nice. It was
you
right.
took shots at me. It's a quasi.
No, it was all in good fun.
You know.
It was all in good fun. You had an axe to grind with the old timers.
I was defensive there, I think. I was, a bit worried, defensive, and self-conscious. And I may have lashed out for the purpose of entertainment.
You mean you did comedy?
Yeah. In so many words.
That was about the best description of doing comedy I'd ever heard. It was a bit defensive, and I lashed out for the form of entertainment. Oh, that should be on my business card. You don't live here, do you?
Yeah, I just moved a couple months ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
From Massachusetts?
From Boston, yeah. My parents' house.
From your parents' house?
Yeah.
And you're like 12? How old are you?
21, flip them.
Okay, 21.
21
years old.
Yeah.
But you're kind of a gifted guy, I think.
Well, I'm 21 and I do comedy,
Yeah, but no one just does that. I mean, so you didn't grow up in Boston, did you?
I did, yeah.
In the city?
No, in the suburbs, like 30 minutes north.
Where?
Hamilton, Massachusetts.
I know the region because I started there.
Oh yeah.
I probably did some sort of. Is there a Buzzy's Pub or a Joe's Grill?
No. There's and I think I saw you mention it somewhere. At Kowloon's at the Chinese restaurant.
Sure. Kowloon's in Saugus.
Yeah, in Saugus.
So you're close to Saugus?
Yeah.
How the fuck did you grow up in that area and not get your ass kicked all the time?
I know. I got close. I know it's a very masculine area, and I have my problems with masculinity.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to say anything yet. I mean,
I got you. No, I got you. I loud and clear. I've heard it.
I'm not.
I'm 21 years deep of this. So.
Are you really?
Oh yeah.
So you're always sort of. What do you think your problems with masculinity are?
I don't know. I hit puberty really late.
Really?
And
recently?
Yeah. Well, now.
It's happening.
Yeah. I'm peripubescent at the moment. But yeah, no. I hit puberty very late.
Mm-hmm. Did you grow late too?
Yeah. It was my freshman year of high school. I came in. I was like 5'6", 105.
Really?
Yeah, it was terrible. And then my sophomore year, I probably gained 5 pounds and 6 inches. And I remember I was at an all-boys Catholic high school at St. John's.
That doesn't help anyone's sexuality.
No, it doesn't at all.
Yeah.
And I remember being in a class and rolling up. We had to wear khakis and long collared shirts.
Yeah.
I remember rolling up my pants, like because I had a Band-Aid somewhere. And my teacher asked in front of everybody, "Do you shave your legs?"
Really?
And
was that a nun?
No, it was a 50-year-old man.
Well, that's even worse.
Yeah, very nun-like.
What was the tone of that question?
It was, the worst part is it was honest.
Oh, really?
It was like completely genuine, and everybody
really?
laughed. I didn't even notice what that could have been. Now
How'd you respond to that, Bo? Did you lash out defensively?
I said one day I'm going to do comedy, and you'll see.
In the form of entertainment?
Yeah. No, I didn't learn that.
Lash out defensively in order to entertain people.
No, I wasn't really that. I wasn't like the class clown or anything. I was sort of just silent in the back, judging people.
Well, that's when I saw you first at the Improv. I'd known about you because you represented something that usually bothers me.
Yes, I know.
I know you know. Like, it's like, oh, this guy's an internet sensation. He plays songs, sings funny songs, and everybody loves him.
Yeah.
And then the first time I saw you at the Improv, you were literally just busy becoming a wall. You were just sort of like, like you had that vibe of like, that dude's like, he's socially awkward, and he's always been like that, I've decided. Am I wrong?
Yeah, totally. If that's when you first saw
right?
me, I think you're totally right. That's what I was busy being. I was putting up a wall. I was sort of, I love like Zach Galifianakis and all them back then. I was sort of discovering alternative comedy. Mm-hmm. And I had seen the wall that Zach had put up, and I thought that I could just genuinely put that up, that same distant sort of like, almost like, nihilistic wall thing.
Right, but he brings a lot of cuteness to it.
He's way more advanced in his writing and doing that, and I was just sort of doing that to shut off what I honestly was,
right, as
a defense mechanism. So it wasn't, it wasn't that honest, and it was exactly sort of.
Well, I didn't see you on stage. You were just sort of like, I could tell.
Well, yeah, that too.
No, I mean, like, it had nothing to do with your stage presence. That's interesting, though. You were just sort of like not interacting much.
Yeah, well, I was terrified back then. I still am a little bit scared. In the clubs, I feel that same. I feel exactly what you're saying, in that I'm young, and I feel that I don't think anyone hates me more for being young and an internet sensation than me. I do honestly think that. I really do. But I sense all of that, and then it's a bit of a boys' club, so it brings me back to
Saugus.
to
Hamilton. To Hamilton.
Mm.
No, because like I swear, I mean, I spent time in Boston, and I've never met a more aggressive masculine town.
Yeah.
That it's just there's that accent of like fuck you, you fucking fag.
Yeah, of course.
And I can't imagine that someone who is you strike me as a very sensitive guy, intelligent guy.
Yeah.
It must have been a fight that you had to fight the whole time. Is that why your parents put you in Catholic school? Well, I guess they're there too, aren't they?
Well, it was like a decent school. My mother was the nurse there, so I was able to go for free, which I wouldn't have been able to go to.
Your mom was a school nurse?
Yeah. Yeah, she's now a hospice nurse.
Uh-huh.
So she upgraded from throat lozenges to
like
severe death constantly.
Well, that's a booming business.
Yeah, it is.
It's weird that hospitals. It's the new thing.
Yeah, and like there's very few actual buildings, like hospice buildings. Hospice nurses usually things that are just people that are being sent out.
Right.
But she's in like this giant building, which she takes care of like 10 people. The average stay is 2 weeks.
Oh.
I mean, she's just seeing like 4 or 5 people die a day, and then she comes back home. And
how long has she been doing that?
Like 3 years or so.
Is it weighing on her?
Yeah, well, it's pretty incredible. Like a year or so in, she forgot the president's name, and she went into the doctors thinking she was having brain problems, and then her boss was like, "No, this is just what happens. You're blocking out so much of what you see that some facts are going too. This is very natural." Yeah, it's really incredible. I'm hoping one day I could write a story about it or something. I mean, I don't think I'm mature enough now, but it's really unbelievable. And what's incredible is they're all these like little middle-aged Boston women that all see me and they're like, "Oh, Bo, you're out in Hollywood. Oh, congratulations!" And I know, like when I leave there, that they're these incredibly like heroic and strong women. And I think it's so interesting because it represents like all of the things that I think feminism, like all the things that feminism has been trying to break out women of gender roles of being nurturing and all this. But rather than a sign of weakness, it's like the most heroic and fearless and like warlike state of what is so naturally
hospice
female.
Nurse.
Yeah. It's incredible. They're all women.
Yeah, and well, I mean, to know that, and also the service they're providing, so people don't die alone.
Yeah, and what's incredible is she's like quite literally a guardian angel to these people, to hundreds of people. I've been with her in a diner where people have come up and started crying and being like, "Patty, thank you so much," and they leave and she's like, "I don't remember them because there's hundreds of those people,
Yeah.
She's more of like a metaphor to them, But she also is incredible at that.
Right,
she's unbelievable.
She can't rightly say like, "Which one are you talking about?"
Yeah.
I see a lot of people go.
Yeah. He was old cancer. No, still nothing.
I'll try to remember. Give me a name. Yeah. Oh, that's amazing. So were you close to her all through your life?
Yeah, very, very
You seem
close
to
to her.
speak reverentially of your parents. I don't always encounter that.
Yeah, I do. I do. And my mother's very, very sensitive, and I think a much better person than I am.
Yeah.
My father is very masculine. He owns his own construction company. He played football at Tufts, so I played football to 8th grade. And then I decided to be in theater and do plays. And I did like A Winter's Tale in some summer theater, like a 3.5-hour long, one of Shakespeare's more tedious plays. And he came like 3 times. So
really?
we actually, So and again, this is something I maybe tried to articulate to you in the green room, is that at the beginning I had this resentment for having a strong foundation around me.
Yeah.
And I thought, I envied all the pain that everyone went through. And,
What, you mean in comics?
Yeah, a bit.
Yeah,
but then I experienced my own pain in being isolated.
Well, no, I think you
last 4
underestimate
years.
your sensitivity. I mean, I can't. I mean, pain's relative, and
comics, totally.
Comics are whiners.
Yeah.
So it's not like very rarely is a comic dealing with anything but some degree of social awkwardness for whatever reason.
Right.
But I mean, it seems like you got that.
Absolutely.
So wait, your father was a construction worker?
Yeah, owns a little construction company. Yeah, and I had to I worked for him like in middle school and stuff. I was like painting shingles and bringing doors all the way upstairs that would
with
come
those
up with
guys.
Yeah.
And how the hell did that pan out? Did they treat you nicely because you're the boss's kid?
Yeah, I think. Yeah, there's my friends from Boston are all pretty masculine dudes, and I think I can fit into that better than I would think I would, and they're all very self-aware and can laugh at themselves.
Yeah.
My relationship with people in high school was a little bit more distant, me being a theater kid in an all-boys school, and, in middle school I thought I was gay, like...
Did you?
Yeah.
And how'd you figure out you weren't? No, don't like it.
No, you know what? As funny as that is, like that seems to be the turn that I would make.
Sure. Yeah.
But I was in middle school, like 7th or 8th grade. Like coming into myself sexually. And maybe still.
Yeah.
But I really never put it together that I was getting nervous around girls. Like when I was around a girl that was pretty, my heart would race and I couldn't feel my hands.
Right.
And I had never felt that with a guy. But
you couldn't feel your hands?
Well, yeah.
It got tingly and numb and
really all that lovely stuff.
Wow.
Yeah, I never put two and two together. I was like, well, maybe I'm gay. I'm doing theater.
Yeah.
I'm,
I want to do theater.
Maybe,
and I had been, one of my darkest moments I remember from like this is just, ridiculous.
Yeah.
But I was doing Honk, the 7th grade musical, which is a musical about, it's the 7th, 8th grade musical. I was a 7th grader. I was a 7th grade boy doing the 8th grade musical. Mm-hmm. And I played a turkey that came out. My big opening number was singing a turkey song. Uh-huh. And there was a rumor around, which is pretty bad, in the theater group that I was gay. And it wasn't like a good thing. It wasn't like a middle school, like, oh, we like you because you're gay. It's all inclusive.
Were there other gay?
No, there wasn't.
Was
so it wasn't like a
not a
inclusive
school.
thing. It was that. So the rumor was going around that I was gay, and everyone was asking me if I was gay, and I was waiting off stage. I was dressed like a turkey. And this always, like, I always go back to this to trying to realize where homophobia comes from, and that it can actually come from a very, like, honest and hurt place, and not a malicious one. And I was off stage, and I had heard the rumors, and someone finally turned to me and said, "So, are you gay?" And I, like, with tears in my eyes, starting to cry, I turned to them, and I said, it was a girl, and I said, "I'm not a fucking faggot."
Yeah.
And then I walked on stage and sang my turkey song.
You said that in an outfit.
Yeah. But I was like I remembered, it's like, oh, it's so gross that I said it. I said it was such a harsh and mean thing that I said. I said it so aggressively homophobic, but it was just coming from a place I don't want to be made fun of. I don't want to be ridiculed.
Different. It's different because what you were countering was in that moment what you imagined to be what was said about you. So it wasn't
right.
It wasn't your feelings about gay people. It was just to meet the gossip with the anger that you assumed they were putting at you.
Yeah. Like, how could I be that if I think this about them?
Right, overcompensating.
Yeah.
Like a gay guy. No. Yeah, it's a little too defensive. Doth he protest too much? No,
it was very turkey-like.
No, I mean, I know you're not gay, but it's interesting that you had to deal with that only because of your interests. It wasn't that you were attracted to men in any way. You're just sort of like, well, I seem to be following all the steps.
I know. But now on stage, I like to talk about like blowing guys and like keeping it kind of vague, because I think like, oh, that's my little part I can do for the gay rights movement. It's like people really, and fans don't know if I'm gay or not. They really ask me genuinely. They don't know. I do like to keep it vague on stage, because it's like, I think a good way of projecting it is like, if I don't care about whether I'm perceived, that's showing a little gay kid in the audience that I don't.
Right. And now that you are talking more out of, I imagine, a reaction to everybody pigeonholing you as a musical act.
Yes, of
you
course.
decided, like, well, on my new record, I got some shit to say.
Yeah.
It's very clear that the difference between an internet sensation and somebody who can have a career as a performer is that, most internet sensations, they get, pushed out there and they do their little thing, and they don't have a depth of craft or skills or creativity to continue. Yeah. So, like, it genuinely seems to me that in looking at what you've accomplished, that, your internet sensation thing was really just a new way to have a break. I mean, you got a break, and for some reason or another, you're a gifted performer, you're a bright guy. You were able to build a career around that, which is not what happens.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate that, Mark. That means a lot, because it's something I understand what that is, and it's there was a point where I was angry at myself for having broken through like that, because I was getting ready to go to NYU so that I could do stand up at night and do the grind that everyone is.
But what
I felt the resentment that I had missed.
No, but what was so? But wait, let's talk about that.
Sorry.
In the sense of, okay, so outside before you did the tape, you had graduated high school.
We mean being online. It was my junior year of high school. When I
all right, so it's your junior year of high school. So your plan at that time, before you made the tape, was what?
It was. I mean, I was writing these small songs just in summer theater backstage, and I was thinking when
you were doing summer theater.
Yeah, I was.
Where?
At my school. At St. John's Prep.
Yeah.
And my plan was to go to New York and then at night start to work on my material and refine it. And
not songs.
Maybe, I don't know. When the songs came out, my immediate thought was one day I'll be able to put down the music and become a real comedian. And it wasn't until I saw people like Tim Minchin and Bill Bailey and all these people that I was thinking, this isn't.
When did you see them?
I saw them my senior year. I saw
after you did the song on it.
After I did the first few songs on the internet, and the thing is, what was hard for me going forward is that this material that would have been my open mic material is now the first thing you see when you Google my name, And now that I'm 21, the thing that I wrote when I was 16 are the first things that you see about me, and that 5 years must be the most significant change in mentality. I mean, 16.
Yeah, but also, but open mic material when you're just up there telling jokes and trying to figure out your persona and stuff, that's harrowing. But I mean, coming from like a long, you were doing theater since you 13?
Yeah.
So you were very comfortable on stage. You could sing. You had this musical ability. So I mean, that was your open mic. I mean, when you're able to do a song and it's complete and it's whole and you can express yourself thoroughly, I mean, that you're not really, that's not the same.
But it was the first things that I had written, really the first things that I had written, and I just put them out there, not knowing what. In 2006, no one knew what YouTube was. The idea of even being a YouTube celebrity or like.
So why'd you do it? I mean, how'd that happen?
I wanted to show it to my brother, and like there were other people.
Or you just wanted to share it?
Yeah, because at the time the narrative of an internet celebrity didn't exist yet.
How many brothers you got?
I have one, an older brother, older sister.
Oh, two older ones.
Yeah, older brother, older sister.
Yeah,
and but once that happened, I did try, and I think this is something that the internet doesn't encourage, and I think my generation doesn't encourage, is that when it happened, I really did, because I had respected comedy so much, and I had worshipped comedy so much and dug into it. Really, I really have.
When did you start having experiences with comedy?
Young, probably the same time, around 14 or 15. I started watching Carlin, and then like around 16, I found Steve Martin, and that really changed.
The records?
That's really how it changed everything. Like when I listened to like Let's Get Small and Wild and Crazy Guy, I was like, oh my God, this could be me. Like this isn't, because I was seeing,
because he integrated music in too as well.
Yeah, and even more than that, when I'd seen Carlin, and I was like, well, I'm 30 years away or 40 years away from ever doing this. I don't have that strong convictions. I have nothing to muse about. I have no life experience to share.
But you're an intelligent guy. I find that hard to believe. I think you probably do have convictions and probably did. You seem not precocious, but you're certainly an intelligent person.
Yeah.
You're doing Shakespeare, for fuck's sake.
Right. I don't feel comfortable, though, getting up and asserting certain things, even at this point. But seeing someone be a bit silly, undercutting things, I think that's something that's very youthful, is like me getting up and sort of, going fuck you to structure a little bit and being wild and yelling and screaming and playing some songs, doing some poetry, and that all seems something that was within, my wheelhouse.
Yeah.
And, so when it happened, I really did try to take a breath and slow down and realize that I need to now do the work. The exposure has happened for me, luckily, out of nowhere.
So give me the timeline. So you put the thing up. Yeah. You're 16?
Yeah, 16, just turned 16.
And who shot it?
Myself. I just put a little camera like on a stack of books.
And you sang your songs. You did 3.
I did 2 at the front.
And you put 2 up.
Yeah.
And you emailed your brother and your family. Yeah. And you told some people at school or what?
No, that was sort of a dead end. It sort of stayed around like 100, 200 views. It was going around like my school and a neighboring school.
Yeah.
And then it was featured on a site, break.com, which is a very big masculine site.
Yeah.
And and then
masculine
it got
in what way?
Like it's like guys getting hit in the nuts.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And it got 1 million views in a day, and like I think I said this. The first comment was "Go Gadget Faggot" that I ever read on
And what was the name of the song?
It was about my family thinking I was gay. Which, like, I look back and I'm like, jokes aren't great or anything. There's a few okay lines, but it's like, at least I started with this thing that was very true and terrifying for me. And something that I was not owning at the time. I really wasn't. That was me owning it.
Your family did think you were gay?
Yeah. I mean, I might have been a year past that. But that was something I was terribly self-conscious about.
Well, how does that manifest itself? Like they don't know if you know, and they're sort of stepping around it, or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, they still say, "Oh no, we didn't." I'm like, well, it doesn't matter if you did.
But you just felt your dad sort of like, I don't know.
Yeah,
I got the kid hammering shit. Seems to take to it. I'm making up a character. Your father. It's probably more like, I got him out there hammering shit.
Perfect. Perfect.
He's putting walls up. He played bad football, for fuck's sake. I did everything I could to stop it.
Yeah, he's fucking shit in the bed over there.
Yeah. Does he talk like
shit
that?
in the bed, yeah. Shit in the bed's a recurring.
And your mother was sort of like, did she ever have those conversations like with you, like, we want you to know that we love you no matter what? And...
No, but there was a conversation at one point, I think, that was like, if you like want to watch porn or all these things, or not, like, I was not being that sexually active my first few years of high school. So to have your mother tell you that it's okay to be sexually active when you want to be and can't is like the most horribly embarrassing thing.
Well, why did I get the impression? I mean, you're at a Catholic school. How Catholic were you guys?
Not.
Oh.
No.
You weren't brought up with the Jesus?
I wasn't. I was a bit. My mother's Christian.
Mm-hmm. Like new Christian?
Yes, like New Age, like we're all drops of water in an ocean, love everybody. Like the church that we go to, I don't go to, but we went to it on Christmas Eve, and the guy got up and was like, "This is God's table. You can all sit at God's table. It doesn't matter what sexual orientation or gender you are, or what
kind
gender
of Unitarian-ish."
Yeah. Which is like, my reaction was always like, awesome. That's wonderful. I mean, there's a part of me that's like, there's just a little bit further.
Yeah.
But it's there's no harm done, and especially my mother's fucking dealing with death every on a massive scale, and for me, from my
little God can't hurt.
Yeah, or
you can't, even if you're practical. I mean, like after a certain point, if you're just existentially practical, it's still going to play on you. It's hard to put that shit into perspective without having some sort of community around it.
Yeah, of course.
You were never a big God guy.
I was when I was young. I wanted to be a priest when I was younger, or a
minister.
Minister, yeah. When I was younger.
I could see you doing that.
But I was just because I was attracted to talking and people listening.
Sure,
me,
yeah, yeah.
And
did you ever do any ministering?
In my first video, you can actually see a golden cross around my neck.
Really?
Yeah.
So did you ever do any ministering? Did you ever get up there and give it a shot?
No, I did a what are those called? Those like youth group retreats or something, where I sat in the crowd and a large African American got up and was telling us about how like gays are going to hell, and I had a feeling, whether he was or not, that like the guy who was running my group was a bit effeminate. I was like, this is miserable and disgusting. Yeah. And but in high school, still some of the most brilliant people I've ever met. A lot of my teachers had dedicated themselves to this. The person that ran the theater department there was a Zavarian brother, and he, like, to this day is still one of the most inspiring and like
a what brother?
A Zavarian brother.
Is that a sect within Catholicism?
Yeah.
It's one of the groups.
But my Catholic school had like a day of silence for gays, where people you had to come in and be quiet in order for respectful for kids that were closeted and couldn't come out. So it was a very strange, progressive, liberal Catholic school with a gay-straight alliance and everything. Which again, I'm like, great guys, this is wonderful, but you're not Catholic. Like, why you pretend like, well, Catholicism's all about the people. Is it? Is it really? Like, I know that it's really beautiful, and I'm really glad we're doing this.
Well, they got to evolve the franchise, or else they're going to lose people.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, it comes right down to that. Either they're going to break away to keep a flock,
right,
or they're just going to scare everybody away with their Latin and their hell.
Right, but it did seem for a lot of those people to come to a genuine place of empathy for gay people. You know what I mean?
So there was no clergy inappropriateness. It wasn't that weird.
No, it wasn't. So that's even another thing that doesn't really fit into the comic narrative. When I'm like, I went to a Catholic school, and they're like, I got you, man. I'm like, no, it's not really
gay-friendly Catholic school. What's wrong with you? You lived in a fairy tale land. This isn't real. So you do the first one about the discomfort of your family thinking you're gay, and the second song was what?
It was about my penis being small. It's terrible. I never played it again.
Was that based on truth?
No.
Okay. I mean, you're a big guy. You shouldn't have a small penis.
Yeah, 15 size shoe. So.
Okay, I get it. So that was a fake one. The first one was based on real issue in your life, and the second one was a dick joke.
Yeah, it was a terrible dick joke that I never played again. And then, they kept going. I found, offensive humor, and I was being offensive. There's some things that I'm very ashamed of.
What was the third song?
One of them was something I'm, kind of causes me a lot of, it was a series of Helen Keller jokes. That was basically like, Helen Keller's the perfect woman. I was 16 and a half.
Yeah.
And, basically just made a bunch of deaf jokes. And, it really, even now...
Wasn't she blind?
Yeah, also.
Mm-hmm.
And, there's some, there's, some gags about, her reading my acne or something. And, I've lost sleep thinking about, some little deaf kid, that,
Have you ever gotten any feedback along those lines?
I haven't, but, it has, 3 or 4 million views, and the idea that there was a deaf kid that, another kid quoted my song to him made him feel shitty.
Quoted to him in sign?
Yeah, some sort of,
mm-hmm.
that, or just, made fun of a kid.
But that's out there. That's an interesting problem.
It is out there. It is out there. And that humor is out there. And the best thing I can do is learn from it and go forward. And I was young. And I still am young, but I was very young at that time.
High school kid.
Yeah, I was 16 and a half. I had no idea really what I was doing. But I've tried to, as the exposure has sort of seemed to take care of itself in this small way. I'm not huge. I'm not recognized in the street or anything. But
you must be a little bit.
Not really.
Maybe if you went to high schools.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, on the streets of the halls.
In the halls.
Yeah.
Still walking through high school as if you need some recognition.
But, so I've tried to take that step back and been now I need to do the work, even at a different level of finding my voice.
So what happened? So now you got how many millions of hits on the first 3?
I don't know.
Yeah, you do.
I really don't.
Give me a rough estimate, Bo.
Maybe a couple million?
On each?
Maybe at the time.
No, but I mean now.
Oh, now I have 100 million on everything.
Yeah. So what?
But there's only 13 videos. I mean, there's that's the thing. There's comedians who have made way more videos on YouTube than I have that are not, considered that. I've only made 13. I mean,
No, I get it. But so now, okay, so they're hugely viewed.
Yeah.
And what's the decision process after that? So now you're a junior in high school. You got another year to go, and now there's this weird popularity. I mean, when did you start to feel that, or was it just
that there was a choice?
Yeah,
coming?
Yeah. I mean,
yeah. Well, it lasted. It sort of.
And you wanted to go to Tisch, right?
Yeah.
For acting.
Yeah. I got in for experimental theater. I wanted to do experimental theater, which is very.
And you got in
physical theater, yeah. And so this is coming into senior year. It was basically all the same. I got I went to the Montreal Festival this summer going into college. I was ready to go
after you graduated.
Yeah.
You got into Montreal. That's July.
Yeah. And then I had my Comedy Central Presents filming the week before I was supposed to enroll. And
wait, so July, you go up to Montreal. Yeah. You're everyone's excited. You're a new face. You do a new thing.
Yeah.
Did Becky represent you? Did he find you up there? How did he find you? From the internet?
Yeah. My agent Doug Edley emailed me. And
how did you have an agent?
He just emailed me. No. Oh, sorry. He emailed me I want to represent you at my high school email. He somehow his assistant found.
You were still in high school?
Yeah. And then Doug apparently approached Dave.
Okay, so the video got such a reaction that show business was reaching out.
Yeah, a few people from it.
Okay, so you got an agent that way. He sets you up with a half hour for Comedy Central.
Right. And it was a week before I taped that I decided that I'll just give this a shot for a year. I was young for my grade. I was a year young for my grade, so I was thinking I can defer. I can defer from NYU for a year, do this comedy thing for a year, and then next year maybe go back.
So how big was when you started out at the top. I mean, when you did your first tour, you were doing theaters, right?
No. I was doing clubs.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Clubs with pianos.
Clubs with a keyboard.
Yeah. Oh, you brought your keyboard.
Yeah.
And so comedy clubs.
Yeah.
And how was the reaction? I have to assume it has to be somewhat divided.
Yeah, it was. It was weird. It was I was able to. I was playing at that time. I was playing up the fact of being a tiny little child saying dirty things, wink, and that
you were
could
20?
buy me some time.
19.
I was just turned 18. And so this is like, the fall that I
Did someone have to go with you to the club? Yeah, I mean,
at first my parents would come for the first few months, and then I guess 2009, which is when I was the rest of my 18 year. Yeah, I was alone and just going on the road.
So you were headlining.
Yeah,
and so you had a middle act who was a stand-up.
Yeah,
and an opener who was a stand-up.
Yeah.
So how tense was that?
You know, I as far as the whole thing has been, I went into it all being very scared of the reaction of people, and for the most part, on the whole, people have been incredibly positive and very supportive. Mm-hmm. And there's been a few things. I had a few experiences of like knowing the opener well, and him telling me that the middle act was talking shit about me when I was on stage and all that. But that's going to happen. But
music guy.
Yeah, the music guy. You know, and music is a crutch and everything. I understand that, and I believe that I was doing that at first, and that's why I wanted to move away from it until I found that it can become this really, atmospheric, like poetic device that just makes your show a little bit more theatrical. Rather than having a stand-up show just set to music, I was trying to create a little one-man theater show now.
Right. Well, I don't know. I don't know that in your case it's a crutch as much as it is with some other people. I mean, because your form was songs. You weren't, just holding a guitar or noodling around on something.
Yeah.
Or pretending like you couldn't play. I mean, you were, it's like Tom Lehrer. I mean, there are precedents set. Alan Sherman. There are people that did that.
Yeah.
That their form, there was musical comedy.
Yeah,
and you
of
come
course.
from that theater background.
But there's a certain type of quality of comic song that at some point there's like, well, this wouldn't be as funny if you were just saying these jokes. But then when you embrace the sort of song structure and the idea of, you write comedy
songs
that can only come from like poetic twists, then it does become an organic and legitimate part of an act, I think.
Songwriting.
Yeah. I'm just going to describe a bunch of things like comedy and songwriting in long, convoluted ways.
But how long? Most of your show was songs. Like the first album is all songs.
Yeah, the first album is all songs.
Now, did you do jokes as banter?
I did. I had probably like 4 or 5 jokes on my first album, which was like just simple little one-liners.
Uh-huh. And then you've got what, 3 albums or 2?
I have 2.
And these are big selling comedy records.
Yes, an oxymoron, but relative in the comedy album world.
No, I mean they always sell. So you go out on the road. So you did a year in clubs, right?
Yeah, I did a year and a half.
And what broke you into theaters? A half hour?
I don't know. I can still only play theaters in a few markets, like in maybe Boston and Chicago and LA, and even then it's like 1,000-seat theater. I found a year and a half in that there was these small rock venues that were just, which I'm still sort of playing now, which are basically the same as
400, 500.
Yeah, 400, 500, and it's like, whoa, you're playing like rock theaters and like, or like my friend Anthony Jeselnik is like playing, 6 nights at Tampa, and he might be selling 2,000 tickets there in, over
right. You
over
can
the
do,
course.
And you can do.
And I'm just doing one night and 500 seats.
No, it's an efficient way to do it.
And I'm not playing. So I'm not playing. I absolutely can't play.
And who are your people? Who are your fans? Are they little girls? Are they?
Yeah. At first it was 16, 17-year-old girls. Yeah. Well, you know what? About the 16-year-old girls. At first I was honestly self-conscious about that, and I thought, I have these, I loved them. I thought they understood what I was doing in a certain way.
Yeah.
But I thought to other comics, this is the most illegitimate thing that I could have, is these young female fans. I want these cool indie alternative comedy fans. I want the fans that are fans of the comics that I am fans of.
Uh-huh.
But then I found that, like, it's kind of wonderful to have these. Why should I? You can preach to the choir, or you can bring this weird, sort of trying to bring this weird, progressive, skeptical comedy to young kids.
Yeah,
and they come in with a blank slate. They have no idea when I do poetry or stand up or songs or they just completely accept that. They have no.
Well, that's because
and it's really wonderful.
You come at it with a certain innocence. You're not that much older than they are. Out of whatever depth of your soul that you're going to communicate this stuff with, you're still who you are.
Of course.
You're not some bitter, fucking dirty old bastard.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, and also you must be. They must feel somewhat safe. With your material, you're not menacing, but I do think whether you're sensitive or not, you seem to be a pretty. You're angry somehow.
No, yeah, I am. Yeah.
I mean, I don't like when I saw you at Green Room. That one song is a very angry song.
Yeah.
Which one was that?
Well, that one is a bit. Well, that was like it's called Art Is Dead, and it's sort of a bit about like I'm a little bit over that slightly, but it was about like. Questioning what I was doing and like the ethics of what I'm doing and
it's self-examination, but it's sort of a punk rock idea.
Yeah, just like why is this a good thing? Why are we being revered for people that get up and are rewarded and we're so troubled? Oh my God, we're so complicated. We're not complicated. We're children. We're like small children that haven't. And again, and this is oversimplified, and I was speaking for everybody, and that's what is definitely a little precocious about it.
But were you, in a sense, fighting your gift? I mean, at a certain point, now this is a realization that I did not come upon myself, and I always envied, was that, there is something about the community, the communal experience of an audience, and performing to generate, feelings of adoration, feelings of reflection, feelings of love, to be the love object of an audience, or to put enough love out there to where people have this communal experience.
Of course.
I mean, that's not childish.
No, it's not. It's really not. And I was always I feel like a very left-brain person. I was always better at math and science.
One? Okay, you were?
And and I feel more in tune with that, and that's what I like to read about. So I always think like evolutionarily, why is stand-up what it is? Like, what is it doing? Is it like a way for us to progress emotionally? I guess sometimes it's just this crazy animal thing where we
it's a way to get girls, and you got rooms full of 16-year-olds. I mean, evolutionary speaking, the drive is to, procreate. So, I mean, charm, the ability to seduce.
Yeah, but I guess I think there's a little.
So you're wondering what your responsibility is. That's not necessarily evolution. What is your responsibility?
Well, I'm talking about evolution as far as like the evolution of the human species, like whether our minds are going to go digital and we'll be uploaded to computers and we'll all become weird pansexual, non-gendered beings.
Is that what you're hoping for?
I think that's what's going to happen, right?
Right? You asking me? Yeah, I'll be dead by the time that happens.
Nah, you'll be around, man. Just take your vitamins.
Yeah, I mean, I am taking my vitamins.
Man.
Unless they can hook me up to a machine that'll guarantee eternal life, which I find would become incredibly tedious.
Who knows? We'll be outside time and space. You won't even know what tedious is.
Oh, really? So you really do noodle around this shit. So you do. This is your reading. You're reading science fiction and future projections into the technological nature of things.
Yeah. I think it's fun and silly and weird and nice to think about.
Do you hang your hopes on that? I mean,
I don't know. I mean, something that's happened for me is like the luckier I've become and the more fortunate I've seen my life be, synonyms. The more I feel like my life is it could actually be a simulation. Like I could die and then take off a helmet and I look and it's like the Burnham 2000 and there's a whole line of people crying waiting to get in line and I'm like a little Asian boy and I'm like but I miss my parents and they're like we miss your parents too. I'm like because it's like the more I see that like I really do feel so lucky. I feel like I'm doing what I really love to do in a way that other people aren't. And I feel like I didn't even need to. I have a wonderful family that's very supportive. I haven't really experienced a giant tragedy, and when it does, I know it's going to knock me on my ass. But I really do think, is this just? I seem so. What's more likely? What's more likely that I'm this lucky, or that I'm living in the future, and this is just a small digital projection?
Well, that's ridiculous, and it's an interesting fantasy. But I mean, there's no reason that you have to assume this tragedy. Why do you feel like you have that coming? I mean, life is difficult.
No.
I think the big tragedy for you is you're going to fucking grow up, and I think that projection of yourself is, God forbid you get 5 years or 10 years down the line from now, and you're still singing songs to 16-year-olds.
No, that's what I'm saying.
then you're gonna be looking back in the mirror at a guy that didn't emotionally evolve.
I've been worried about that since day one, and that's what I do want to try to communicate to people is that I really have been working on that, and I don't know. I don't think I deserve to be. I don't think I deserve to be here. I don't think I deserve to have these opportunities.
Well, enough of that.
But no. But really, I do feel like, for someone that has been put in this position, I feel like I have made the right choices, and I have, I made my first album that worked and sold well, and I could have turned around and made another one in 6 months, because I had found an audience, I'd found what they liked, and I did something different. I mean, I got up and I did things about religion or Shakespeare, or tried to do stand-up and tried to do poetry. Is it great? Is it where it should be? I don't think it is. I don't think I found my voice.
Yeah, but it doesn't sound like you're ever gonna fucking, just let yourself be. I mean, that's your comic Achilles heel, is that you're gonna beat the shit out of yourself all the way through this thing.
Yeah. Yeah, that's probably. And it's like, and I really appreciate you being very thoughtful with me, Mark, because I didn't know that you've shown a lot of respect.
Uh-huh.
And and I appreciate that, because I wasn't sure what I was going to get coming in here. I was very, very, very nervous, because I just feel, older comedians, which is a relative, might as well just be comedians.
Yeah.
Have said that I don't know if I buy into the, you needed 10 years to be a good comic. I think in 10 years I'll be a much better comic and a more legitimate, and maybe just a real comic. But I've heard a lot that I don't have a legitimate relationship with this thing, that if I'm 21 I can't possibly have a legitimate relationship with
what?
With comedy? With comedy.
You're a performer. It's like, the thing is like those rules were created by comics, at a different point in time, when there was more of you could see it more as a team system, that you started out as an opener in your home club.
The hierarchy has really been destroyed.
Oh yeah, it doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
And quite honestly, and I'm a guy that grew up in that. Look, a performer is a performer, and and the truth of the matter is, for what you're doing, which is singing and emoting, in a funny way, and you do it comedically. I mean, your prime is when it is. To be as energetic and not to be an old guy. I mean, the kind of songs you're singing are great for your audience. I mean, the people that you attract to your show, that's when you're building your crowd. I mean, the real trick is when you have something like you, or anybody, this is what I've noticed more than anything else, more than however long it takes you to get where you are, is that once you fucking find your window and you build your audience, how do you grow up with them?
Right,
because, as a comic, you got, a 5 or 6 year window. You build this audience. Usually it's kids now. You look at Attell or Dane or anybody else, and then 10 years down the line, they're going to be married. They're going to not have time to go to shows.
Mm-hmm.
Their priorities are not the same. So, how do you grow up, in public and continue to evolve your audience and become more sophisticated with what you're doing? So your journey as an artist or as a performer doesn't have to be relative to this ridiculous system, that is now only given lip service by bitter comics who may be the ones who are saying, I put in my time.
Mm-mm.
And usually the ones that are touting that system are not that successful in general, because, big comedy stars, who the hell knows? It took Louis Black 20 years. It took Rodney Dangerfield 30.
Yeah. And then Eddie Murphy was 22 when he did.
Yeah, I mean, it's really, what it really comes down to is, when you get your break and you're a performer, can you take advantage of it, and can you build a career out of it?
Yeah.
So give yourself a break on that one.
Yeah, well, thanks. I appreciate that.
But I think you're the kind of guy, what makes me hopeful is, I think you're the kind of guy that is so hard on himself, that what you've got in you that I think is really exciting is the possibility of just one performance, just like, fuck you.
Yeah.
Fuck you.
Well, I've had this sense, I've really been fantasizing about, vomiting on stage, or getting naked and putting my dick
still
between my
like
legs.
me.
Yeah, I have fantasies of that stuff. But I'm trying to develop. I'm trying to find how in this musical form I can be a little bit more, explore myself a little bit, and be a little less tied down by even the physical act of playing the piano. So in my new hour, my new show I'm working on, I've been working on backing tracks and doing I do this weird duet with my left and right brain, where I play both parts and sort of argue.
see, it's smart for you. This is what I see you doing. If I could give you some career advice.
Yeah.
Is that because of when you let go of this, of judging yourself against the bitterness of comics and the judgment of comics, is that you could do a Broadway show.
Yeah. Well, I'd love to do that. I would love to do that.
I mean, like, whatever this is doing, you're building up a lot of performance chops, a lot of experience in performing in adverse situations, in conditions that most actor performers don't perform in. Yeah. And it seems that you're building a way to put together a real musical theater event.
Yeah.
That could have some teeth to it.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I would love to do that. But I could see, in 10 years down the line or something, wanting to just get up and do something that seems to be more traditionally stand-up.
But there was obviously a very conscious decision on this second record where you're like, I gotta fucking do stand-up.
Yeah, no, totally. And and it was that. And it is like, yeah, you're completely right in picking up all the defensiveness. Not that you needed probably a fine-tuned thing. You probably just needed to have any of your five senses turned on. But yeah, I moved out here and just kept going up the improv and just doing stand-up, and I wanted 15 minutes of stand-up in my. But yeah, it is very silly, and it actually is very derivative of the songs because it is a lot of sort of. Little
quick jokes.
And twists of words and language, so
turn a phrase.
And I don't yet have the confidence to get up there and state an opinion.
Well, what if you thought
I can backhandedly through a joke, but not really.
Well, what if you thought of yourself as a character?
Well, that I could maybe do that. And, that's something that I really would love to see, happen in America. Is that like I'm trying to do stuff that's a little bit more theatrical and stuff, and it seems in Europe that character comedy and really comic in music, experimentation is everywhere. I mean, there's concept albums, there's experiment, and it's very rare in comedy, But like David O'Doherty is this great Irish comic, and he did a whole hour in Edinburgh last year that was him as like an Arctic explorer, which is like Sgt. Pepper. He's doing an album as somebody else.
But I mean, I'm just thinking that because you seem to live your life through these songs, and you find it easier to express your frustration and your situation in an in-depth way. That maybe because of your acting chops, and you are a theatrical person. I mean, you don't, by nature, like I think you're more comfortable when you are able to sing or perform something.
Absolutely.
And that when you get on stage as a comic, you get a little uptight and you want the laughs relatively quick. And
I'm not myself. I don't feel like myself.
Right, and you look at these jokes as almost math equations.
Yeah,
you know exactly where this is going to go.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which is not unusual for joke writing, but you seem to be chomping at the bit to talk.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you got.
And right now, the way my talking is expressed is like in like screaming. Like I'll just like scream, or like I'll like lie on the stage and moan and talk about like wanting to drink bleach or something.
Do you do that?
Yeah.
In between songs?
Just like in between jokes, I'll like just.
Oh really?
Yeah, just like a good way, just for me to get out.
So you're just feeling it out, seeing what you can do up there.
Yeah.
How's the audience react to that?
I make it very quick. And I try to put it in the times where they are laughing. Like if they start laughing, I'll start screaming about like give it to me, or something, or like. So
you got a lot of fear up there as a stand-up.
Yeah, I do. I get very nervous before shows. I'm very, very nervous before.
But music. But what if it's just music? You're not nervous before.
Oh yeah. Oh, totally, yeah.
But like, do you feel like because for me it's the opposite. Like if I'm going to sing, I'm petrified because that to me is so vulnerable. But doing stand-up, I'm not afraid anymore. But it seems to me that for you to stand there alone. And waiting for that first laugh, it's hard for you to feel comfortable.
You know what? It seems
you're so fucking young too. I got to keep reminding myself. Like I don't know what I'm expecting out of you in the sense that this is all pretty new to you in some weird way.
Yeah, but no, right. And but it's not always that dynamic because like I've been doing sets here the last few days where I've been trying out new songs and doing jokes that I know work. So I'm way more comfortable doing the stand-up.
Yeah.
Because I know that those are going to work and get laughs.
Right.
And then I'm nervous. I'm like, oh shit, this song's really not anywhere close to where it needs to be.
But you can get lost in a song at least.
I mean, you can. But that is the wonderful thing about doing like that is something that is a bit of a safety net in doing songs. Is that the rhythm is so much less dependent upon the audience.
Yeah.
So you don't have to worry about that.
You're in. You're once the song starts, right there. I'm going all the way through this song.
Yeah.
You don't stop songs and goes, fuck this.
Yeah.
Do you?
Yeah. I have.
Yeah.
But
so what's this show you're working on?
Yeah.
What do you mean poetry?
I'm working on a poetry book. That's going to be sort of like a illustrated sort of, Shel Silverstein for adults would be a kind of a weird version of it, but it's not dirty. It's just like
you like Shel Silverstein?
Yeah, I love him. I think he's wonderful, and it's my friend, who's this unbelievable illustrator, is doing the drawings for it. And it was just a great thing that when I was working on the show and I sort of couldn't do the stand-up anymore and I was feeling like, I was having to write in this little box, it felt nice to just be able to, like, go to a coffee shop and just, like, let my mind wander for, weird poetry.
Well, how do you feel? Like, I in your future, I see you being cast in a musical.
I could do that, maybe. I don't know. I don't think I'm not a great singer at all. I really am not a great singer.
You don't have to be a great singer
at
to be
all.
in a musical.
Yeah, I would like to write a musical, maybe, but I would have to write lyrics more than music. I'm not a great
Have you thought
not
about
even a composer? Jesus, I almost said composer. I'm not a composer at all.
But have you thought about storylines for stuff like that? Like
yeah, I have thought of this idea for a musical that was like, it was sort of like open on like a cold, like, little town that's all normal, and then all of a sudden it's about this like disease of musical, sort of like zombies spreading through, and like the first girl that's infected runs on stage and she starts to sing and they all look at her and they're like, what the hell's happening? And it's sort of this musical about musicals,
virus,
as
a musical
disease.
virus.
Yeah.
I like that.
But again, that's very vague, and I would have to sort of nail that down.
Well, it'd have to take place in a world without song.
Right. And I would
and like a village.
Cool, that's what I'm saying. It'd be cool, like, and like the guy that really hates musical gets up at the court to speak, and then he's like, "We need to stop this." And he starts singing, and he's all terrified.
Oh, that's great.
But that's that could maybe happen. But I'm aware of like my limitations with that, and I've become very aware of my musical limitations.
But then, like the mayor guy, he has to figure out, like, he has to go to the scientists in the community to somehow create an apparatus to stop his singing virus.
Yeah.
So that makes him sound really weird.
Yeah. And it could become a whole world war.
Right.
They're being quarantined and everything,
right.
And they're singing like through. You can hear their muffled singing coming from the.
And then they figure out an antivirus for it, and they kill the virus. But then that girl who first got it decides that she wants to sing.
Yeah.
And then the town realizes, like, we've been given a gift.
Mark,
and then there's a big finale.
Mark, we went into this wanting to write a song. We just wrote a musical.
I know. Talk to my agent. I get partial credit on anything from this forward point with the musical virus idea. But it'd be funny that what'll happen is that'll appear off Broadway in 6 months and be like, oh fuck, I shouldn't have talked to Maron about that. We got to put a. That's our idea. All right, you can have the idea.
Thanks,
I'm
man.
good with that.
No, we can do it.
But tell me about this before I forget. Experimental theater. So, like, when you were going to go to NYU, because, like, I see you sitting at a piano, and then I see you stand in front of a mic. But, like, what about physical comedy? I mean, what is experimental theater?
Well, it's like what we did in high school is people like Grotowski, and like there's this Japanese dance Buto, which is like this.
You stomp around.
It's this dance that happened at like it's very interesting and sort of informing for me, like comically in a way, because it was a dance that came out of Japan after World War II, and the bombs had dropped, and they were like, Jesus Christ, the world is fucking ugly and scary and terrifying, and why isn't dance reflecting that? So it's this dance where they cover themselves in white powder and they do these really like terrifying, weird, like the greatest Buto dancer of all time was the founder was like in his height when he was 99 years old, because he was like so decrepit and weird and strange, and that's really informed like my comedy of like, oh yeah, there's such a wide range of emotion, and and there's such a wide range of experience and expression, and it all seems to be in this narrow band of like masculine musings.
All right, well, right, but this is a fight that you're going to either let go of or continue to judge yourself against. That like the masculine musings and the older.
Oh no,
comic.
I'm just looking at comedy. No, I'm not even looking at myself. I'm just looking at comedy in general. Like,
no, I know, but
there's
you
no
see,
women,
right, but you see it as a fight. Yeah, I mean, you're fighting some sort of fight in your head against expectation that you've created. Either real or not. But what would stop you from having the balls to intellectually understand this stuff and and let it inform your comedy? Like, I've never seen Budo dancing. Why wouldn't Bo Burnham do some Budo?
I wanted to. I really thought of like.
Well, why can't you do it now?
I've thought of doing that. I wanted to do it for like when I did my Edinburgh show. I wanted to, for the last 10 minutes when they were leaving, get on stage and do it. And I just didn't have the balls, and I'm trying to get the balls. And I thought I was like, well, I don't want to be indulgent. I want to find a way to do this, and I wouldn't be great at that. There's people that are way better at that, and I would just sort of be using that form.
See, so that's interesting about you, because you're young enough, and I can hear, everything that I, have dealt with my entire life is that, you're judging yourself against this jury that you're inventing. Like, you're making assumptions about what people think.
But you didn't think that about Mark?
No. I think that about you.
But you didn't think that at first, because I thought that you were a legitimate member of that jury at first.
No, my reaction was it's musical comedy. It's not my bag. I wasn't, like anyone.
I know, but my argument would be that. You just haven't seen musical comedy that I think you would if it was done well enough for you.
No, sure.
You know?
I cry at musicals. I mean, and I like your stuff, but I'm just, I was being belligerent. And my reaction was not relative to, what is or what isn't. It was just that, like, this kid's a flash in the pan.
Yeah.
I mean, by the time I saw you in Green Room and I saw what you did, even though I condescended to it humorously, I mean, fuck, I play guitar. I like to sing.
No, I got you.
And the fact that you were a together performer, you can't deny that. But I mean, why would you, live your life in fear of what assholes like me think?
Because it really has helped me grow. And, like, the internet has, of course...
But you haven't done Budo yet.
I haven't, and so there's places to be, but the internet of course helped me in exposing me, but it really helped me as like this comic library of researching people and and that is the real like huge comic pratfall, is that being critical of myself and hating myself and hating my act and not being able to watch anything, being repulsed by anything that I'm not currently doing, has made me better, and that is a very terrible thing. But I get addicted to it. I get addicted to being critical because it makes me better, and that's the thing that I value myself by.
You like to beat the shit out of yourself.
Yeah, but
I mean, it makes you better to a certain point. As long as it do you find happiness ever?
Yeah, no, I do. And I might be overplaying this. I might just be coming in a little. It might be just because I'm coming in a little self-conscious with you.
Yeah.
And desperately wanting you. You are at the pinnacle of a thing that I want to impress more than anything else.
Well, I'm impressed. I'm already impressed.
No. But yeah, and I just. So that I may be reflecting myself more critical because I'm like, there may even be a sick thing in me that's like, well, if I show him how critical I am, if I show him how dark and questioning I am, then he'll really think I'm a comic, But no, I am happy, and like I get on stage, I am so when I try to work on my show, like at least this new one, it isn't so much so that I can impress you. I mean, that obviously is a huge part of it, but a big part of it is like. I work on that hour just so that once a week I can exist like that. Like being on stage and existing like that for an hour is like so freeing for me. Because I'm not talking about it really is, I am doing this sort of piece, that is a little more fictional and a little less autobiographical. And being able to live like that is just like so, it does give me such happiness. I'm not sitting on stage going, oh shit, that joke didn't work. I'm trying desperately more and more to like lose myself because that's what I want more than anything else. I just want to be able to get on stage and like forget about everything and just really lose myself. That has always been the most euphoric feeling, just to like completely lose yourself in this weird, chaotic thing that you spend all your fine tuning every single beat of this thing, and then somehow you live in it.
Yeah, it's a
completely
show.
Organically,
right. Yeah, and it's not relative to the audience validation necessarily.
Yeah. Well, at a certain point, it just, it's like, okay, we'll take a random group of strangers and measure my self-worth by it. And it's like, that's a dead end. That's got to be a dead end.
It's also a dead end in, making up, angry comics judging you all the time.
Yeah.
I'm just telling you that.
No, it is. It is. You're right. No. Well, thank you.
Because, like, what you have on your side.
Having this talk with you is a big step in the right direction because it's facing my fear.
Yeah.
And realizing that it's not that bad.
Don't get dragged down by a bunch of negative Nancys. And that's me saying that.
Yeah.
But what you have on your side is youth. You have an amazing amount of talent and intelligence, and that I think that the biggest horror would be is that you start to temper yourself in relation to trying to prove to this fucking it's maybe visible but mostly manufactured jury.
Oh yeah, but I think there's also enough of terrible arrogance within me that says the way I'll prove to you is by being something that you could never do.
Yeah, that's what I don't like about you.
But really, but only, but not from the fact that like you couldn't do because I'm more talented than you. You couldn't do because I'm so young. I'll embrace the thing that seems to be what people hate me for, even if I'm inventing it. I'll embrace the fact that I'm a little bit young, a little bit, little bit naive, a little bit idealistic, a little bit angry, a little bit wildly emotional. I'll do all of that to the nth degree. So, and so that's what I mean by, that's my reaction to that. Rather than cater to you, I'll just, you know what? This is a strength.
Look at who I am. Fuck you.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah,
I need that.
That's good. You know? Spite is a huge motivator.
Yeah.
What have you learned from Shakespeare?
Well, Shakespeare is, you know.
I mean, do you take it in? I mean, I know you've done some plays, but do you read it and get joy out of that?
Yeah, I love Shakespeare. I think it's just his attention to language, you know, but it's the same thing I get from like, you know, Patton Oswalt or something of just like absolute.
He doesn't need any more smoke blown up his ass.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, it's fine. Tell me what you get from Patton and Shakespeare.
Yeah, maybe that was catering to a comedy nerd crowd if I've ever heard it. The AV Club's gonna love that clip. No, it's just an attention to language. The same with Jesselnick, same with a lot of people. Just an absolute, like, not one word is out of place, you know, and just an inventiveness, you know, just like, and I just take with Patton, just like little phrase, like twatness.
No, he's great. No, he's
like
great.
Very similar to Shakespeare's tiny.
Yeah, I say it's Rabelaisian. He's very good at sort of lyrical descriptions.
So Shakespeare really informed like But again, there's certain people.
But what about life lessons? I mean, Shakespeare was crunching big, you know, ethical and moral and familial scenarios that have to deal with power and love. And, Do you take that shit in?
I try to, but I you know, there's certain people like that I admire comically, and people like Shakespeare or musically, where I'm like, I can't even say that I'm influenced by them because they're operating at a level so far above me that I can't. You know what I mean? Like,
I think you'll get there. You're still pretty young, and you seem to be adept.
Right. But it's just like I'm taking in all that stuff. I understand that Shakespeare's, but I'm like, I have nothing to contribute in the meaning of.
But as smart as you are, and you're too old to be precocious, and as talented as you are, you still only have so much wisdom.
Oh, of course.
That is your own. So you know.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you got to go out and get dirty somehow. So what's this new show?
Well, it's a mockumentary with MTV. It's about it's called Zach Stone's Gonna Be Famous, and it's about a kid who's filming his own life trying to become famous. You know,
It's a character.
Yeah. I'd really loved mockumentaries, and you know, I'd fell in love with the British Office. It was like my favorite show.
Yeah.
And I wanted to do one, and then mockumentaries were just springing up everywhere, and I was like, oh man, this is seeming like well-tread territory.
Right.
And then I thought, well, what if the camera people were actually there? What if the crew you actually felt the crew? It wasn't just a device in order to put voiceovers or exposition in. And what if the person in front of the camera, rather than being like a victim of the camera, was actually in control of it? What if he actually had control, was directing his life? And so it's basically a kid making a reality show where the enemy is reality. And it's sort of a way for me to address probably the one thing that, if when you talk about my wisdom, I know I lack all of that in many things, but
Not
one thing I do
it.
think I have.
Jeez, you're so dramatic.
No, I'm just hyperbolic.
All right.
I'm just a little reductive.
Okay.
Anyway, so I know I'm the biggest piece of shit in the world, but but one thing I do think I know is like what we're doing to children, like what the world of fame and this sort of new hierarchy. That's like the show was sort of conceived a bit in reading something that said they asked graduating high school seniors what do they want to be when they grow up, and 40% said famous. That was the biggest answer. Like doctor was second.
Right.
And just this sort of world that we're bringing children into, where like girls are more self-conscious and terrified than they ever are, and then the older people say, oh, these girls are so fucking slutty, what are they doing now? And it's like they're damaged, terrible, ruined people that have like are overstimulated and like constantly surrounded by people more beautiful than them.
Yeah.
They have magazines that are telling them, that make them hate themselves, that are promoting musical artists that then sell songs that say I love you in them. Do you know why all these songs about like I love you are selling so well? Because these girls need that so desperately, because they feel fucking hated by everything. And,
that was some of the impetus for doing this character.
Yeah, just to doing a show about, like, how fame is, this kid's going to be trying to be famous, and fame is the enemy, and that we need to sort of realize that, and again, I'm the whole point is that it's hypocritical. I think of it as like a
No,
documentary about heroin addiction by a heroin addict on heroin at the time.
But no, I don't know that that's true, because like it seems to me that you've got a character there, and that what you're trying to do is gut fame as you sort of move through this character is sort of humbling. That he's immature, and he's trying to pursue this great payoff of everyone knowing him.
Right.
But along the way, he finds out that it's really the smaller things in life in and of itself. So yeah, I mean, yeah, that's great. That's great. That's great, because I mean, I heard some of that anger in that song about art and about everything else. That in a general way, you're concerned with the culture of distraction and spectacle, and you think that kids and even adults are being denied, real sort of human experience.
Yeah, and like choice and free in pursuing what they love.
And
because
relationship.
They're taught to love. They
Garbage.
genuinely love bullshit. They genuinely love, and that for me has sort of been like my experience with comedy, and in that, like, at first I was trying to. I felt like I was just trying to be famous. I was generally just trying to be famous, and then trying to be, respected and all this stuff. And I'm trying to land in a place where I'm now, I think, just really trying to be a good person. Like, am I going to be able to? And that's a hard thing. I don't know what your experience that with Mark. But like, I'm trying to find is the stage a play? Can it make me a bit? I know it can make me more successful, and I know that maybe being successful can make me more happy. But can this make me feel good about myself?
Well, you're very raw nerve, so, but, and also, like, there was theater played an important role in community. That, the one thing that you get, not just from mockumentary, but being a live performer with the type of sentiment you have, is that the experience of seeing a live performer, especially one that's, confronting the issues you're talking about, it as a communal experience is powerful. I mean, it definitely speaks.
Totally.
I mean, it seems like you've definitely got the, I mean, you seem to have this interesting mixture of anger, frustration, and some human righteousness, and concern for young people that, I mean, it could be great. I mean, and I think that you have the power if all those girls came to see you to begin with, that you have the heart, you can get the hearts and minds of young people.
Yeah.
Because you are one.
Yeah, I am one, and
you're blowing minds by framing this shit differently, by making those kids question exactly what you're talking about. What is it that you want to be and why? And look how shallow it is.
Right.
And look how empty it is.
Right. And it's hard, and it's a struggle for me, because sometimes I feel like when I do my shows, and then afterwards, the girls are coming up, 15-year-old girls shaking.
Yeah.
I'm like, fuck, I feel like I'm playing both sides. I'm trying so desperately to not do this, to demystify everything,
But some of your songs do that. I mean, you are blowing minds in the sense that you're framing things, intelligently in this way, musically. But I mean, the message of those songs, outside of them being crushing on you, that's different. But I mean, if they're singing the songs or they listen at home, I think most people's experience with music if they're thinking about your words, I mean, the message is getting through. You're not going to be able to stop them from, not knowing what to do with their sexuality. You don't want to stop that.
No, of course. No. It could stop with me. But yeah, it just, there's just a give and take of like, man, are you contributing to this celebrity thing?
Oh my God, you're so fucking hard on yourself. It's good. I appreciate it. I didn't know this about you. It makes me like you more.
Oh.
Yeah. You say you don't have pain, but one of the classic, dispositions of an artist is that I'm a fraud. Nothing's good enough. I should just quit. I'm a fucking asshole to think I can do that. That's all straight up stuff. Straight up creative person stuff.
Well, Mark, this is great. I thank you for being for having me and being
sure
respectful. And can
we play that song?
Oh man, you definitely, man, do what you want.
Do you like that one?
Yeah, I like that one. Yeah, that one's a good one.
I like it. Resonates
thanks,
with
man.
me.
Well, thanks, man. If you want to play it, I'd be, yeah, of course.
All right, thanks, Bo.
Thanks, Mark.
That's our show. I hope you dug that. See, the kid's all right, isn't he? Please go to WTFpod.com. Get yourself on the mailing list. Get yourself some merch. Get yourself an app. Check out all the episodes we've done. Kick in a few shekels. Do whatever you want over there. Leave a few comments, but try not to be an asshole. And, this Thursday got Craig Finn from the Hold Steady. Also, Tony Clifton went backstage during a rehearsal at the Comedy Store. Got to talk to Mr. Clifton for about 15 minutes. That'll also be a supplemental part of Thursday's show. And what else? You know, it's a beautiful day. It's a beautiful weekend. Again, if you're taking this weekend to memorialize or to grieve or to put things into perspective around people you lost and in any of the wars that have been fought here and other places,